July is an interesting month for up here in kind of the North Country. We're not truly in that dog days of summer, but it's starting to get a little bit warmer every single day. So today, where we are, it is 24 degrees Celsius or about 75, 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Last month in June, when we talked about our top 5 baits, a lot of those are still going to apply at least for the first couple weeks of this month. From there, there's some additions and some things that'll change between the start of the month and the end of the month. So that's what we're going to talk about today. One thing that I like to do in the month of July is throwing a bladed jig. So the one I have here in my hand is a Raid MAXX blade. Over the last maybe 2 years, I've kind of gotten onto this program of throwing, smaller bladed jigs. So a couple here, this is the Bumblebee here. This is actually the full-size blade, but the narrow specifically I really like from the Bumblebee. And then the other one is the MAXX blade type speed. So that'll be the blue pack. Both of these are gonna have sort of a smaller blade to conventional. So this is your conventional jackhammer style of blade. And then you can see how much smaller the type speed is. The only two that I have really been throwing is, again, that Raid. And I'll generally throw the Raid in a little bit more cover, a little bit thicker stuff, in and around toolies, stuff like that. And I go to the Bumblebee, more open water, if I'm just kind of grazing over the top of grass, in and around rock piles, stuff like that. Those are my absolute favorites right now. For trailers, real simple, man. I'm either throwing a ZAKO or I'm throwing a BELLOWS SHAD. So those are the two that I'm enjoying right now. Or the DOLIVE stick from O.S.P. Those are my favorite trailers. If you guys have a trailer you like, leave a comment below. Maybe we'll give it a shot. I like expanding on stuff, especially in the bladed jig. Something I really like throwing. Okay, so the next technique that really starts to fire for me in the month of July is going to be a flippin' jig. Specifically 2 colors. I run a green pumpkin, maybe like this is a green pumpkin blue, and then straight black. I don't really get too complicated here. If I'm gonna mix it up, it's mostly gonna be in the trailer. So I'll change the trailer out a little bit, or I'll change the size or the styling. This is something that is really effective right through until, September up here usually. Guys win a lot of money on these. They catch a lot of big fish. So if you're not familiar with a jig, it's basically a lead head. Some of them have brush guards, some of them don't. You're gonna have, a flipping hook, and then you're gonna have some sort of skirting material. There's a bunch of different brands of jigs in the shop. The one that I have in my hand happens to be the O.S.P 01 jig. It's one of my favorite kind of downsized jigs. It's more of a mini jig. So the one I've been showing you is the O.S.P 01 jig. It's available in a ton of sizes, a ton of different colors. I really like this jig because it's kind of downsized, compact, and I like the hooks in it. I'll pair this up with a bunch of different things depending on kind of, when and where I'm throwing it. I like using the beavers. That's an obvious one. So the DOLIVE beavers in a 3 or 4 inch, those are my favorites. Another one I really like to use lately is the Raid HIRA TAILOR. This has been a good one for me. Another one that I feel gets overlooked as a jig trailer is the BELLOWS gill, specifically in the 3.8 inch. The BELLOWS SHAD's great as well. It's just a little bit more of a slim down profile. The great thing with these is the scent is really nice and they come in a ton of colors. If you're throwing green pumpkin and you need like a little bit of green pumpkin chartreuse, they make it in that. If you're throwing, black and you need some black blue, or you need something a little bit off colored, they have that. So these are a great one. And then the last one, and this is one for you chunk guys. A lot of people are kind of onto zoom chunks specifically. This has replaced most other chunks for me. This is going to be the Raid Egu chunk in the 3 inch. This is the 4 inch. So these claws displace a lot of water. They have great action coming through, and it's available in a ton of different sizes. You can either thread it or you can break this off and just kind of hang it on the hook like some of you guys do with traditional chunks. It's available in a ton of really cool colors. This is the Raid Egu chunk. So that's another one that I've been using quite a lot lately and I've had a lot of success with. So a lot of you guys will throw beaver style baits on there. The DOLIVE craw has been one of my all-time favorites forever. This year I've just been experimenting a little bit more, and yeah, this Raid one has really stood out to me. The great thing about jig trailers is there's not a lot of wrong answers. So A lot of you guys will use, you know, beaver style baits like the Sweet Beaver 420s. I like to use the DOLIVE craw a lot. Really, you can kind of pick and choose what you want based on how much action or little action you want. But definitely check out this Raid Egu chunk. This has become a staple for all things jigs for me. So last month when we did our June baits, I had included something that for whatever reason Ashton had edited out, and I was heckled pretty heavily in the comments and I was messaged profusely. So I will include it here. It does work. It works 365 days a year. That is going to be the Ned rig. This is my specific Ned rig. It is the dual REALIS WRIGGLE ND Slim 3-inch. This is an amazing Ned rig. So this is made from an elastomer material, so it's ultra stretchy. It's going to sit up nice in the water when it's on bottom. The great thing about this is as it's coming back to you, say you've hopped it along and you're just kind of bringing it in, it still has a nice wobbling action while it's coming back to you on the Ned head. I get a lot of bites when I feel like the cast is done. I end up getting a few extra bites here and there just because of the action on this guy. Another one we use a lot is specifically from the HELLGRAMMITE's NIKKO. So the NIKKO is another elastomer type product. This guy is very stretchy. Now it is a thinner bait, so can be a little bit of a pain to rig. A lot of guys will go to the EWG style Ned hook to rig this guy up, but this is the NIKKO Zaza HELLGRAMMITE. So this has been a very popular one in the shop for a long time, and this has been, you know, a lot of guys' staple HELLGRAMMITE Ned rig bait. Again, elastomer material, ultra durable, ultra stretchy. Keep in mind, guys, if you guys buy elastomer, don't put it with the other plastics. I feel like I've learned 10 times not to do that. Another one, if you guys are a fan of Gary Yamamoto plastics, they have come out with, I mean, this is a couple years ago, but the Ned SENKO floating. This is again a 3-inch SENKO style worm, Gary Yamamoto, but they've added floating to it. Again, when it hits the bottom, it's gonna stand up, which, I mean, that seems to be the trend if you're going onto Ned rig style baits. And then last but not least, this is a sneaky bait that I think gets overlooked a lot in the Z-Man lineup. That's going to be the TRD TICKLERZ. I've seen some guys catch gigantic fish on this thing. Ultra durable, and Z-Man actually makes some really cool colors, and this is one of their more unique baits, but it produces a lot of big fish for us year round. So check these ones out from Z-Man. And yes, Ned rigs are great for June, July, right on through the whole year. You don't have to hear it from me to know that. If you guys have ever thrown a Ned rig, they work. I know it's boring. I know people kind of shit on people for throwing them, but I don't care. If you're out, you want to catch fish, Ned rig's definitely one of the most effective ways over the last couple of years to really get fish to bite that aren't maybe ready to go. So definitely try a Ned rig in July and the rest of the year. All right, another thing that really, I mean, again, a lot of these you need to take the month with a grain of salt, but some of them just get better in these specific months. Something that I really enjoy throwing, you know, in July specifically, and then it comes back again really late into the fall, is gonna be a free rig. I'm gonna hold up a couple of the baits. I'll explain the whole concept behind a free rig here in a minute. This is a DEPS bull flat. This is one of my favorite free rig baits. Another one coming right back again that I like to free rig is the GEECRACK BELLOWS gill. So this is a really cool one. The BELLOWS craw is another cool one that we like to throw on a free rig. The cool thing with a free rig is there's not a lot of wrong answers as far as plastics. You'll see that we kind of stay in that bluegill pattern, I would say. It's kind of that fatter, wider bait. The HIRA TAILOR has become a staple for all of us in the free rig stuff. I'll even use some minnow type baits. It's just an effective fish catcher, and you can kind of control your own speed on how you want to bring it in. So the free rig, for you guys who are not familiar with it, is a very effective way to kind of fish weightless baits on bottom. So essentially what you'll do is you'll rig up kind of your favorite Texas rig bait. Again, this is a category where sometimes the bait does matter, but a lot of times you can get away with free rigging anything you want. You're basically just getting a bait down a little bit deeper and then letting it do its own natural action. This is basically going to be how your plastic is rigged up. So just a little EWG style hook. This is an INFINI 3/0. So you're gonna take your weight. This is a DECOY DS sinker. This is like a bat style weight. You'll notice that Any time you're gonna free rig, you can't use a pinch end. You're gonna need to have a round eye. So if you look at this guy here, you can see that this is a nice round eye. So this is another style of decoy free rig weight. It has a plastic insert inside to keep your line kind of nick free. Those are the two that I kind of go in between. And then you will put your weight onto the line, and then you will take your hook, you will tie this regular to the end of your line, and then you have a free flowing weight. With all this, you're gonna have your weight, you're gonna throw it out there, your weight's gonna hit bottom really quickly, and then your bait is gonna kind of slowly fall down in behind it. However action your bait is gonna do, I'm just using a rocking motion for demonstrational purposes. So this is gonna come down slowly, and then as it gets to the bottom, you're gonna wanna kind of lift it up, and then let that weight hit the bottom again, and then your bait's just gonna kind of slow fall again. Really effective way to pick apart the bottom. It's not an ultra fast style of fishing, but is a very effective one. You can fish it kind of as slow and as fast as you want, but for me, I found that slowing down a little bit has been very effective. That is something that is going to be a big player this year for a lot of guys, because it's kind of been a technique that has been kept under wraps by guys who've been using it for a long time, and it's more and more coming to prominent, especially with amazing baits like the HIRA TAILOR coming out and the BELLOWS stuff getting really popular. The bull flat's been a staple for this technique for a very long time, so if you guys haven't tried a free rig, definitely check it out. Okay, and then finally for number 5, this one's kind of obvious, and it's really gonna start to take off in the next 2 weeks here. So this is in the latter part of the month when I like to start throwing topwater baits. Yeah, topwater baits. You know, your popper, your walk the dog style, and then your frog. The frog, obviously, when it's, you know, high sun, they're gonna be tucked in under those mats. You're gonna throw the frog over that or in the pads. The walking, this is ultra effective. So this is the TECO kick knocker. It's available in a kick knocker and then a kick knocker pup. Some of the best colors. This has actually been one of the most popular baits for topwater period for a very long time, well before it came into the TECO umbrella. So if you haven't tried a kick knocker yet, you probably have. You just didn't really realize it. It looks pretty similar to something you probably have in your box. Check this out. And then finally, a popper. So this is the O.S.P louder. It's available in a 50, 60, and 70 size. The cool thing about the louder is it actually has a fan spit. So as you pop that, it'll kind of walk, and as it's walking, it's gonna spit the water. So this is a great one because you can kind of size into it. If you want a little small one, they make them. If you want medium, large, they make them. And then that spitting action in a fan motion really makes this one effective. So check out the louder from O.S.P. All right, guys, let me know in the comments if you think I've missed anything. You Southern guys love crankbaits this time of year, so I know I'm probably gonna get beat up on that one, but this is what I got for you. So we'll see you in, I was gonna say see you in February. Holy shit. Please do not see me in February. We'll see you in August for the August lineup. And remember, all this stuff is subjective. Maybe it's gonna work in your area, maybe it's not. Either way, go catch some fish, and I'll talk to you guys later.